Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our guest of honor and host of tonight, the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu.
יש לך הפתעה על הפתעה. אנחנו מוותרים על הפתעה.
You're the boss.
Yeah, I am. Thank you. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here. This is always an opportunity to speak about not only current news, but ongoing events. But I'll start with today's news. I want to congratulate Ambassador Friedman, the American ambassador to Israel, who tweeted the truth, unvarnished, straightforward, and I think he said some important things. The important thing is that Abbas's government is supporting the kind of murderers that murdered the father of six. Such people in our jails get $355 million a year, they and their families, from the Palestinian Authority. That is something that is untenable, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute after I say something in Hebrew. אני דיברתי היום עם ראש השב"כ, הוא עדכן אותי לגבי החקירה המאומצת שנעשית בעניין הפיגוע הרצחני של אתמול. אין לי שום ספק שזו רק שאלה של זמן, אני מקווה שלא הרבה זמן, עד שנגיע למרצחים. אנחנו מחויבים לזה. I think a free press is vital to our societies. A free press must cover all things. And tonight I want to highlight three stories that don't get the coverage they deserve. One I've already touched on. A father of six beautiful Israeli children was brutally murdered last night. And I'm sure some of you, maybe even all of you, covered it. But raise your hand if you mentioned in that story or any other story what I just told you, that President Abbas pays $355 million a year as a reward to murderers and their families. So tell me if you covered it. Raise your hands. None? How many do we have? 2, 3. Next year, every hand should go up. Funding and incentivizing murder doesn't exactly advance peace. Here's the principle. They're communicating to their people, kill an Israeli and get rich. Now, what kind of message does that send to impressionable Palestinian children? So this is the first one. Second, I want you to raise your hands if you've done a story in the past few months about the revolution that is occurring in Israel's Arab sector. My government is investing 15 billion shekels for Arab citizens of Israel to improve their health, their education, their welfare. That's more than any government in Israel has invested. So when the Middle East is falling apart, Israel is passionately pursuing the empowerment of all our citizens. And that's why we also have initiated a pilot program to teach grade 6 school children spoken Arabic so they can communicate with their neighbors, because we care deeply about bringing people together. And we care deeply about increasing understanding and mutual respect. Did any of you cover that? Hello? No? Not one? Not even those who covered the other thing? You've got a gap here. You should close that gap. Third, I want you to raise your hand high if your network, newspaper, or site called Iran's leadership moderate in the last year. Called me old-fashioned, but I don't think there's anything particularly moderate about calling for the destruction of Israel. I don't think there's anything particularly moderate about jailing journalists and beating students in the streets. I don't think there's anything particularly moderate in shooting demonstrators in the streets. So I urge you to cover the extremism and growing aggression of this dangerous Iranian regime. Covering these three stories will inform your readers and viewers of vital information. It will do a tremendous amount to advance their understanding of what is really happening in the Middle East, and it will also do a tremendous amount of good to advance peace, because the only way that you can build peace is in a foundation of truth. You can't build peace that will crash against the rocks of Middle East reality. You have to see things as they are. You have to tell things like they are. So this is what we all must strive forward to advance truth and to promote peace. They're not mutually exclusive. One is dependent on the other. I look forward to answering a few of your questions, please. Next year, I look forward to seeing a sea of hands raised. Yes. Thank you. First question. If you can lower the lights a bit, I might have a chance to see who it is. Oh, what an improvement. Please, go ahead. Please.
Mr. Prime Minister John Netanyahu, how would you describe your relationship, based on what you're saying right now, to the press at this point in the overall atmosphere?
I think the crucial question is, how do you describe your relationship to the things that I described to you today? These are not, these are not difficult things to come by. They don't require massive investment in investigative reporting. This is just common sense. Look, we all gripe about the press. A free press is vital to our society, but a free, fair press is what we need. And you have to cover, it's, how shall I say this? It's to cover all the news, not all the news that fits a particular narrative. It's to cover all the news. It's all the news that's fit to print, not all the news that fits. Yeah. Please.
Okay. Mr. Prime Minister Alexei Osipov from Komsomolskaya Pravda, Russia. So before the event, I spent a few good hours in Jerusalem, in the old city, and quite each second tourist probably is Russian-speaking. Should you expect more? I mean, relationship between Russia and other former ex-Soviet Union countries?
Well, you'll find also a lot of Israelis speak Russian. We have over 1 million Russian speakers here. So you'll be able to get around easily. Look, our relationship with Russia is a good one. It's also straddled some very difficult hurdles, especially in Syria. I periodically meet with President Putin, and we make sure that our military establishments don't bump into each other. And that's no small achievement in this part of the world. But beyond that, there is tourism, there's trade, there are investments. We welcome that. Thank you.
Okay. It's Yolande Nell from BBC. Thank you very much for taking our questions, and thank you to the GPO for having us. I want to ask, the US is taking steps to cut aid to the Palestinians. The Israeli parliament is looking at withholding tax revenues from the Palestinian Authority because of this issue of prisoner salaries. Are you worried that this could lead to the collapse of the Palestinian Authority? And if that happens, what would Israel do about it?
No, I don't think it will lead to the collapse of the Palestinian Authority, but I think they should redirect their funds to other things. Since you speak about funding, I want to make clear what our position is on UNRWA. Okay, my position is that it's not a question of defunding UNRWA, it's a question of replacing UNRWA with, after 70 years, with an agency that will actually address the real needs of real refugees. There are millions of refugees around the world. They're all taken care of by the UN High Commissioner of Refugees and some other UN establishments, but only the Palestinians have a specific organization that is supposed to solve the refugee problem, in fact, perpetuates it. That's what UNRWA does. And so it's time. How long are we going to have UNRWA? Another 7 years? We already have great-great-grandchildren of refugees who are not refugees, but they're listed on the, on the list of UNRWA. So I suggest something else. I suggest a gradual conversion of all funds going to UNRWA to other agencies that deal with the question of refugees and actually have criteria. This will not this will not have negative effects, it will have positive effects, because the perpetuation of the dream of bringing the descendants of refugees back to Jaffa is what sustains this conflict. UNRWA is part of the problem, not part of the solution. It's time to bring another organization into being. The ones that exist, they can do the job.
My name is George. I'm from Russia. I'm a student of Masa Beitar. Okay. And I have a question. There is a lot of different news about crypto value and like Bitcoin and others. So my question is, what is the main point of Israel about this thing?
Well, we share the same dilemmas that all governments do. On the one hand, we recognize that blockchain technology is here and will advance. On the other hand, should be very careful when you deal with the commodity called money. It's supposedly and conceptually not different from all other commodities, products, and services, but effectively it is. I mean, we didn't establish a banking system to exchange, I don't know, Swiss cheese or any kind of cheese. We established an arrangement to try to limit the risks of dealing with money. So I don't want to say more than that. I'm not giving stock tips. I think you're going to have virtual money. You already have it, but I'd be remiss if I told you that we don't have our dilemmas there. What people decide to do individually is something else. We're looking at this seriously, but very, very carefully.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm from Press Trust of India. You'll be leaving for India in a few days from now, and you'll be meeting your friend Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, there. Now, my question is, were you disappointed at the way India voted at the UN General Assembly on the question of Jerusalem? And India has recently cancelled a defense deal of $500 million with Israel. How is it going to impact relations between India and Israel?
Well, I would have preferred another vote, to be frank, but I don't think it materially changes the tremendous flowering of relations between India and Israel. I think everybody can see that. President Modi's visit was a very important milestone in that. My visit to India is the other one, and I think you're going to see an expansion of economic and other ties, regardless of this or that deal. Over time, I hope I'd see also a reflection of that more often in the international, in the voting of India in international forums. And I say that to the journalists who come from a variety of countries with whom Israel is now deepening relations. And we'd like to see that ultimately reflected also in international forums. It doesn't nullify the fact that with India, with the other countries in Asia, with countries in Latin America and Africa, there is a tremendous increase of relations on all fronts. It just takes longer on the international front.
Last question. Okay, please.
Hi, yes. Lissy Kaufmann, German media, reporting for the Tagesspiegel and Focus magazine. Mr. Prime Minister, Trump has announced the ultimate deal, and now Pence is about to come to the region in less than 2 weeks. What would your ultimate deal look like?
Well, why don't you let Mr. Trump present his first, and then we'll see what the penultimate deal is and what the ultimate deal is. It takes time. I don't know if he'll present it, but we certainly haven't announced at any time that we'll walk away because Mr. Trump said something that is so self-evident. He said that the government, the seat of government of Israel is in Jerusalem. The Knesset, our parliament, is in Jerusalem. The judiciary, the Supreme Court, is in Jerusalem. You know that's not going to change. You know that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel under any deal, ultimate or not. Everybody understands, with a deal, without a deal, Jerusalem is Israel's capital, and therefore it makes sense also to move the American embassy there. I appreciate the fact that they're... Thank you. That's good. I hope some foreign journalists were applauding now. Because it's so obvious, it's so true. So I think that was very important. In any case, Mr. Abbas has used this statement to seek a way to essentially run away from the negotiations. He's done it before. He did it. His predecessor, Arafat, ran away from Camp David with President Clinton. Abbas ran away from such an arrangement as well. And he also ran away from a proposed discussion that President Obama suggested based on Mr. Kerry's deliberations. But he ran away from all of them. So he ran away again, surprise. I think the last thing you should do as journalists is to give him credence. You want to negotiate peace, you've got to negotiate. We've never put any preconditions on negotiations, and I don't do so now. And of course, if President Trump puts forward his proposal, his ideas, I'll study them very carefully. Thank you. There is one other proposal. We have Mr. Leo Sushat here, and I want to challenge him. You know, you've challenged me, now I want to challenge him. So I drew something. Okay? There's no way you could have seen this. There's no way you could have seen this.
Oh, okay.
Because I just drew it.
When?
You're in trouble. About 10 minutes ago.
Okay, let's negotiate. I'm going to go here, with your permission. It's inside. You know.
Let me look at it.
Okay, let's look at it.
So you can think about it. There are no cameras here, huh?
No camera.
There is?
There is cameras. Don't. Okay.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes. It's not signed, but there's. I write something there.
Okay.
I drew something and I wrote something.
Okay, I have to tell you something. When you came, I was in the middle of showing them something very dangerous. Mm-hmm. And I came to you from Nigeria, yes? And I was about to ask you to think of your secret PIN code to your bank account number. And try to guess it somehow. And by any chance, is it start, and you came, and did it start with number 2, maybe? Yes? Yes, really? So that's your secret PIN code? 2 and then 8? Yes? Really, for real, yes? Can I approach you?
No, don't run away from me. I'm leaving.
I'm coming.
You know,
I'm coming.
I don't know what your connections are in Nigeria.
And, Marta, by the way, is his first girlfriend when he was 6 years old. I'm just telling information here. I'm just trying to...
Don't run away.
I'm just, guys... Listen, the object of this game, the mind game, is to... It's negotiations. It's interesting.
I'm thinking.
I know you're thinking. I'm like...
I'm thinking about it right now.
Listen, I'm not very good in drawing. I'm just do whatever comes to my mind, and you will decide if I'm close or not close. It's 2, 8, and another 8. Yes?
Lior?
Yeah, sorry.
Don't run away.
Okay, can you... Okay, I put this here.
Yep.
Can you show me?
Yes.
This is it?
This is it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I was completely off. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to show you what I've done. But this is amazing. This is amazing. Really? This is what you thought? This is what you thought? No? So you tricked. Oh, wow. Interesting. This is amazing.
This was an Israeli deception campaign. Thank you.
This is how you influence people, by the way. Thank you very much. And it's 2888. That's your PIN code. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Thank you very much, Leo Shusat.